we want to share on two key points on how we consider a just transition. And the first issue we want to consider is the issue of criminalizing poverty in urban renewal programs. And this is something that we have seen a lot in Lagos, Nigeria particularly, where the face of the built environment that has to do with planning and finance, you have a lot of people come in, private investors come in with a lot of money. And before they're coming, there will be people who live in underserved communities. And these people will bring in a lot of money and pay to the government, to the public sector. And then these people will collect, the government will collect this land from these people. And just evict them forcefully without due processes, violating their human rights, and everything about their rights are trampled under feet, and they are evicted from their homes, and then new homes are built in place of those old buildings. And these new buildings are built in such a way that the low and moderate income earners can't afford them. So you will find that in these buildings that come up, you will find, we have seen cases where slums or underserved communities were taken over by government, and you go and check back the next day and you see that a new building comes up that is way beyond the means of these people to afford. And they go back to form another community that the government neglects. So and the government will come in again with whatever reason. Sometimes the reason government advances for taking over these lands could be that there's a lot of the underserved community are harboring criminals, or whatever incident that happens. Once it ties to a community that is underserved or is generally poor, the government will use that as an excuse to demolish or evict these people and take over their lands. And then the next building you see of, they can't afford these houses. So we have always been proposing going forward that the government should have a way of incorporating everyone in the community, regardless of their means or their status in the community, in their building programs. If going forward we have buildings where, yes, houses for the rich can be built or those who can afford them, but there should be mixed housing program where government can sometimes allocate some percentage of the houses that are built in place of the lands that they're taking over to low-income earners, so that they can also live in this community. Because when they go out of this settled area, some of the things that we have seen in Lagos particularly, as a result of population boom and every other thing, they settle on waterways, exacerbating the problems that we have seen a lot in terms of flooding and every other issue. So we think that the reasons advance have not really helped matters. The underlying reason for us is that they are simply criminalizing poverty in the name of urban renewal. And in that sense, if government can come up boldly in trying to bring a program, housing program that integrate the poor and the low income earners together, it will do a long way in the just transition in housing. Talk about the issue of land rights and aspiration of those who own rights. There again, we see the same sort of thing playing out, because the landowners are sometimes, especially in rural areas or in some fringes of the urban settlement, their rights are not considered in terms of when land is acquired for building program or whatever reason land is acquired. And in that sense, you will find that landowners are sometimes, the cultural rights are trampled upon. Social inclusion issues come up a lot, because the more lands are taken away from these people without compensation in situations that are inhumane, then you know that a lot has to be done by the government, on the part of the government, to ensure that the rights of these people are considered in terms of a land acquisition. On our part, we have been involved in a lot of advocacy in terms of ensuring that the landowners themselves understand that, yes, there is need for improvement, there's need to go forward, there's need for suitable good housing that are in tune with environmental requirements. And the government will sometimes come around to do that. But we want to empower them with the necessary knowledge to ensure that they have a good footing to negotiate with the government when they come in. And on the part of the government, we have always encouraged the aspect of government ensuring that the rights, cultural rights, personal community rights and every right that can be afforded landowners should be done. And also we have witnessed a situation, one more thing, we have witnessed a situation in terms of acquisition of sources of energy, in terms of in the fossil fuels, as we have them a lot in the Niger Delta region, where you find that programs are developed on community land and they seem to have no benefit in the land at all whatsoever. So there are fears that in the just transition, if the lands of the local communities are used in program or in building, will they be carried along? Boils down to the same issue, that if this building or this program are done in such a way that the segregation right or the right between the poor and the rich, is the gap is not breached, then it is not a welcomed idea. So these are all some of the aspirations that we see a lot in local communities, particularly here in Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you.